So I promised myself that I was not going to re-record this for the 19th time. However, we're going to just go into it. So I am really excited, like every freaking video I record, because this idea is so profound. So there's this idea that we need someone else to complete us. And let's just be really honest about our idea with relationships. Relationships do bring us joy. Relationships do make us happy. Like, they are the reason that we're here, is to have connection. So I want you to imagine you're like, after having connection with this person and this partner in this relationship, and your biggest desire is to have connection with them, and you can't figure out why. It's just so freaking hard to communicate and to connect. And I believe those are the two C's, the communication and the connection. So at the level that you connect with yourself is the level that you'll be able to connect with your spouse or your partner or your person that you're after. And the reason for that is because, think about it. If you're not connected to you, how can you possibly go connect to somebody else? So I like analogies. I'm really strange that way. In fact, our subconscious actually communicates in metaphors and in images. So let's just go through a story. So you're like a toaster, right? And you have this cord and you're like looking for the outlet to go plug it into. The problem, if you don't do your own internal work first, is that you're constantly looking where to put this cord. Like, I'll put it in you, or I'll put it in you, and I'll put it in you, and I'll put it in you, because that's where I get charged, right? Like, that's how I feel alive. That's how I get my energy, is through putting my cord into you. It's like, not an umbilical cord, but like, you get my point, you're a toaster. So if you're a toaster and you're constantly looking where to plug this thing into, it's like really simple, because you're gonna only plug into a mirror, like we talked about the last video, of who you are in that moment. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. So if you're someone that isn't connected to you and you're not emotionally available with yourself, you're going to attract, what do they say? The emotionally avoidant partner. And why is that? Because you don't connect to your own emotional world either. So it makes a whole lot of sense when there's an avoidant partner, because I mean, they're just reflecting back to you where you're at with yourself. And if you don't understand what your needs and your wants and your preferences are, then it's really hard to find someone and then just to say, okay, make me happy, right? Like, have you ever gone to a restaurant and you totally see when a spouse or someone's fighting with someone else? I try not to be nosy, but it's really apparent when it's happening. And, you know, the woman's just sitting back with her arms closed, and body language is everything, right? Like, we know when someone's unhappy, or the guy is like super distant and he's just like really cold and does this like cold shoulder thing. And what's really interesting about this communication happening between the body is that it's so loud that you can't actually hear anything the other person is saying. Like, body language is 80% of the conversation happening. Now, imagine if you were the toaster and you plugged that cord or that outlet not into him or to her, not into your relationship. No. We're no longer going to plug it into them to get our charge. What if we just turn it around and plug it back into us? When I heard that, I thought, that is ridiculous. Like, that is the most stupid thing I've ever heard. Why? Because I was so afraid of being with myself. Like, that was so strange to say, okay, well, I'm just going to be content with me. I also had the false premise that a lot of you might, that somehow we're going to outgrow our relationship. So, and that's real. Like, I outgrew the relationship I was in last. And we think that if we find someone that we outgrow, that the separation and the gap's going to handle, or like it's going to take off and we're going to grow this gap, because like if I'm growing and you're not, then there's automatically space and there's distance between us, right? What I'm really pissed about is the fact that we don't talk about just being so solid in who we are, two separate toasters plugged into our own selves, so that we both can just rise. Like, the idea is that there's only this much space to grow. And if I start growing, then it's gonna be like this shift, right? This gap. But what if you weren't codependent on me and I wasn't codependent on you, and I was solid in me, I was plugged into me, you were plugged into you. I didn't need to rescue you. You didn't need to rescue me. And when I was being pouty and I was being like grumpy, and you know, you're being cold and you're being distant, like, what if the idea is that you're not needing to plug into me? I'm not responsible for how you feel, and you are not responsible for how I feel. And that is such a mind-blowing concept, because a lot of how we live our lives is not teaching this. Like, I understand what you're thinking when I say those words, because I was the girl or the guy just like you doing like, are you stupid? Are you so crazy? Like, who would do that, right? It's called self-accountability, actually, is what that is. It's ownership. It's ownership for saying, hey, like, I'm totally responsible with me. I feel good when I can take care of me. I know exactly what I need. I know exactly who I am. I know what I want and I know what I prefer. And when you have that type of confidence, is a great word. Do you know what it does for the other person? Here's the shocker. Here's the shocker, ladies. When you plug your own cord into your own self, he knows exactly what you need, because now we're not playing a mind reading game. Like, I also hear from men, now that I am in a healthy relationship, I also hear that their side of things is so complicated because we don't know ourselves. We just get really bitchy and then we expect for them to fix our needs. Like, how many of you are like, it's his fault and he doesn't do this and he doesn't do, but here's what's crazy is he actually wants to serve you. Did you guys know that men are actually wired, like, go look into the biology of this, actually feel fulfilled the most when their spouse or partner is happy? So imagine if you were plugged into you and you were radiant and you were inspired and you were happy and you were fulfilled. Do you know what that makes him feel? By a byproduct of you taking care of yourself, do you know what he feels instantly just by you being that person? He feels fulfilled and happy because he knows that he wants to see you happy. Like, it's almost like society has raised boys to think, or men, well, first boys and then they grow them into men, that their entire life's purpose is to serve the woman. And it's really crazy because us as women, we're like trying to give them the to-do list, like do this, 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 do this. And then if you're lucky, like, go take care of yourself, right? We rob their joy when we do that. And it's amazing to me what shifts I've seen since being divorced twice by 26 and then getting into a new relationship. It blows my mind at the level of joy I experience when I take care of myself first instead of last, because my last program was, it's all about you. I'll put me last. And since I've switched that and I just take care of my own needs and trust that I don't need to rescue him, right? Like we talked about, I don't need to hero him. I don't need to feel bad for him. I don't need to be this role that society's taught me to play. I don't need to be that. I just need to be content. I need to be secure. I need to feel my own emotional needs first. And when I feel safe and I feel trusted and I feel whole, I bring in people who are at the same frequency, the same emotional world that I'm at. And so now that I've attracted a new partner, it's so easy to see how much happier and free and light and excited he is when I'm in that same space. And when I'm not in that space and I'm feeling like I could just rip your head off and I want to fight with you, because that happens in relationships, it's really easy to go figure out why I'm triggered, own my trigger, and then go figure out what the heck I need, and then come back and then have a conversation with him, because I own exactly what's happening internally. So do you see why it's so freaking important that you know what your triggers are, you know exactly what you need, and you know exactly what you prefer? Because if not, you're going to walk into a relationship, you're going to have a whole bunch of unconscious patterns playing, which we'll talk about in the next video. And then you're going to just play this mind game reading of, he should just know. He should just know I'm being a bitch. He should just know I'm being honoring. He should just know because I'm giving him the cold shoulder. And he drives me crazy when he's on his phone and right? Like, he doesn't know. And so for you to have this expectation that someone else is going to meet your needs is ridiculous. Like I said before, you will find someone who will treat you as equal to you treating yourself. So if you don't take time for you, if you don't listen to you, if you don't know what you prefer and you want, how is he supposed to possibly know that? And how much do you actually honor that, right? Like, if you have the choice to take care of yourself and to go figure out what that looks like, or just fall into a relationship where you get to be codependent, which one do you choose, right? Like, are you actually owning up to the part of you that says, okay, I need more, I don't feel fulfilled, I'm not passionate right now, I don't feel inspired right now, you're not making me happy, then we're gonna take that same electrical cord out of whatever we've been plugging it into, and we're gonna plug it into ourselves, and that requires self-discovery, that requires honesty and a whole lot of things. But I will tell you what's on the other side of that. Like, who would do all of that hard work? Like, I'll tell you why. Because the thing that you'll experience over and 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 over again in life is relationships. Like, cool, if you want to be single, right on, rock on, do your thing. If you don't want a relationship, cool. If you're in one and are getting out of one, cool. Like, it doesn't matter what the status of it is. You have relationships with people all over the world, whether it's your workers or your coworkers or your family or your friends. Like, you're constantly in a people thriving world, right? And it doesn't make sense that you don't know how to be in that space because you're not willing to go there with yourself. So again, you're going to attract the emotionally avoidant if you're not willing to go there with yourself. And it's really fascinating because people get into relationships for all of the wrong reasons, right? A lot of contradicting things about relationships stem from the need of an ego. And the ego says, well, I'll date him if he has a nice car. And then the man's like, well, I'll date her if she looks hot, right? But it's crazy because your soul has so many more needs than that. And how long is that going to last, right? Like, if he loses his job, do you actually want to date him still? Like, if she's not putting out sex, are you actually still going to admire her? Like, there's so many things that we need to dismantle because until we're interdependent or independent here, we don't know how to be in a relationship without codependency. So I'm going to help you do that. We're going to make sure that we get through all of the weeds because you deserve better. And if you haven't watched the other 3 or 4 episodes or videos, just know that my main theme is that I dare you to rise, okay? I overcame 2 divorces by the age 26 so that I could tell you passionately, it's not all garbage. It's not the other person's fault. There are so many things that are beautiful when you get into the space of learning who you are, who you actually want to be, and then attracting the partner that deserves you. Because you're only in a relationship that's crap right now because you don't know what you deserve and you don't have any self-worth and you're settling and you're settling and you're settling. And I'm sorry, but it's gotta feel annoying. It's gotta feel old to know that you're going to bed every single night with the same relationship with someone that you know doesn't deserve you. And that's not saying that they're less than you are, but there is definitely a difference between being with someone because you want to and you're choosing it versus I'm staying here for the kids, or I'm staying here for the money, or I'm staying here for the security, because that's just the illusion. The illusion is that you're gaining something out of it, and if you leave, then you'll lose it. If you lose you've lost it all. If you lose you've lost it all. And I have lost me numerous times so that I could tell you, when you find you will never enter a relationship ever again. Do I worry if I'll ever get divorced again? Absolutely not. Why am I so sure about that? Because I will never, ever, ever attract or enter a relationship that doesn't honor all parts of me. Not 1 or 2 parts of me, all parts of me, and I want the same for you. So I'm gonna leave a description in the notes below. Go to bribrimarie.com, BRIBRIMARIE.com, and I'm freaking excited because your whole life is about to change. So subscribe if you haven't already. I plan on producing a lot of content. And if you haven't figured out, I like to talk a lot. So let's become friends. Go follow me on Instagram and let's do this together.